The latest round of protests along the Gaza border, marking Al-Quds Day, the last Friday of the month of Ramadan, ended with 4 Palestinian fatalities. The Palestinian Health Ministry said over 600 people were injured. Friday's numbers are not insignificant, but the size of the protests was nowhere near the 40,000 people who showed up on May 14th, when over 60 people were shot dead, most of them Hamas members.
They branded it the March of Million, but I think around 12,000 came up, and Hamas probably have to ask themselves why so few Palestinians wanted to participate in Hamas's violent attacks.
After more than 2 months of violent demonstrations and clashes, there is now more and more discussion within Israel of possible humanitarian measures towards Gaza. The Israeli Security Cabinet meeting this week focused on this subject. Though different proposals were raised, no major decisions were taken to alleviate the situation in the Strip. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman insists that major infrastructure projects intended to help the Gazan population must be conditioned on the return to Israel of remains of 2 soldiers killed in the 2014 war and 2 civilians believed still to be alive and in the Strip.
We will not relent in our quest to try to find ways to provide protection for the civilian population, because it is our duty, it is the right thing to do.
Still no progress on this front at all. Meanwhile, the Israeli military revealed Sunday it had bombed an underwater Hamas tunnel. This was the 11th tunnel destroyed by Israel since last October, but the first at sea. Extending several dozen feet from shore, the tunnel allowed the group's elite naval commandos to leave shore unnoticed, emerging underwater, though they still had to swim nearly 2 miles to reach Israel. With the tunnel project quickly becoming obsolete, Hamas now faces a big decision, whether or not to continue with the border protests. Despite the dwindling numbers, the demonstrations have managed to return Gaza to international headlines amid growing criticism of Israel's use of force in an effort to defend its civilians along the border. A meeting of Palestinian Islamic factions is expected in Gaza on Wednesday, and that may result in a decision on the future of the protests. Shai Ben-Ari, I-24 News.